Hi, this is Larry Podspinski on the subject of schizophrenia and complexity of it and the hazards or dangers of treatment. Uh, if you're new to this, if you've been following along, thank you for your interest. I see the views and I appreciate I'm helping someone. Some people point out that read my book and meet me and say, well, you've opened the doors to anyone who reads the book, eyes to what really is schizophrenia and what it does to a person and will do to a person and how to get over it. So my book's called In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia. Maybe I'll try to find an actual link to where I know it's for sale on this description on this video. Finally, I should say, is that a procrastination? I don't know. But anyways, what could I say new? Well, if you don't know what this is about, it's about schizophrenia and treatment and the drugs. Traditional standard drugs have only existed since 1952 for treatment of psychosis, schizophrenia. Before that, it was a horrible picture. We don't want to go into those 2 years and mental illness, well, I could say a lot of things that I haven't already said, or rehashing some of what I already said, but for the benefit of those new to this channel. But what's new then to those who know what's going on for my videos about the treatment hazards? Well, let me just rehash this real quickly. Okay, so you got the first generation antipsychotics, which was the initial 1952 on to 1994 in the United States, and it wasn't that way around the world. For newer, the typical antipsychotic is the old one, the first generation. Second generation is called atypical antipsychotics. So, and third generation, but they're all based on the same chemical. So they work on in the brain, and in the head, So, and one of my videos, I remember, there's been so many of these videos about this, getting on medication for this nerve damage from the antipsychotics. Well, the new medication that was made for previously thought permanently disorder caused by the antipsychotic drugs called tardive showing up dyskinesia, involuntary movements, tardive dyskinesia, later showing up involuntary movements, like tremors and things in your fingers and stuff, and it's worse than that. I've described it elsewhere, but that you can't feel one hand against the other until you get the treatment for it, then you can feel the warmth of the other hand against the other again. That's how bad it was. How much abuse my nervous system has taken, my brain, from the treatment for the schizophrenia, let alone what the illness did to me. Does to me. Robbed me of 20 years of development earlier in life that I still haven't made up on all the way mainstreamed. But anyways, so first generation drugs, antipsychotics, worked on the whole brain, which is where the side effects came from, mainly. Okay, then the second generation worked on just the parts of the brain it needs to, and that's where there are less side effects. But then the third generation, I understand, works only on the parts of the brain it needs to, and then again, only when it needs to. Okay, so some of that was added to the second generation about 20 years ago, about 2004 or 5, and somewhere in there, and that combination I stumbled onto when I got the treatment for the tardive dyskinesia was available, and the videos go back 15 months till September of 2023 when this treatment with the Astido, the tardive dyskinesia drug, and as I was being up-dosed on it, titrated, that is, medically, to the right dosage, which is the maximum dose, but and I still have some shaking sometimes going on, so because I'm not good on touch screens. I hate them because my fingers tremor too much to use them, and my fingers are too big. But so I'm impaired that way, and ability to type and communicate, and ordinarily. But anyways, the third generation then works on. Okay, but so in one of my videos, I was getting to somewhere during this tardive dyskinesia discussion in the last 15 months or whatever. But I found that what the hell was I going to say? Well, it causes scoliosis of the spine. But I'm on medication for that right now. If you've been watching, okay, I'm on medication for that right now, thankfully, and I'm pain free for the moment. So I have to see the pain clinic in a week and a half, and I hope they refill this because my primary can't write it forever with her credentials, but it does work if I take it every directed. So. Hopefully that'll work. Where was I going? I was going somewhere with the book. Not the book. Or what the point was I making? Shit. I need to stop this and start over again. Fuck. Pause. Part 2. So I was trying to say, in all these videos I've done in the last year, 15 months or so, about the tardive dyskinesia drug, and the results of taking it, and I was ranting in one video that they work on the same chemicals in the brain, like I was saying, these second, and third generation antipsychotics. But and I said they needed to work for the reinvent them from the ground up. I mean, because they don't cause this kind of conditions like tardive dyskinesia or scoliosis of the spine or the curvature of the neck or grinding of the teeth or any number of weird things that you wouldn't associate with medication or schizophrenia happen to you, as a result of the medication. So they're detrimental and permanent. And well, they invented something for tardive dyskinesia and it works. But so I was ranting about they need to start from the ground up, and then I just recently learned my nurse practitioner canceled today on me because she was sick. But last time we talked, we had just both heard of 3 months ago of a new fourth generation antipsychotic actually been invented, and they have invented it from the ground up. It works on different brain chemicals entirely to treat the schizophrenia. Am I a candidate for it? Not with all the changes I've been through and the abuse of my nervous system. I'm not a guinea pig at this point. But the offending drug that caused the scoliosis was removed, and then the pain amplified immensely, is why I needed the pain medication suddenly, because I was in pain all the time, but I managed with it. Physical therapy exercises, they quit working the same when I got on the tardive dyskinesia drug, because the nerves that are burned away, tardive dyskinesia burns away to the hands and the face and the feet, run through the legs and the arms and arms and legs to get there, and so those muscles were working fine for the first time in my adult life on the Austedo for the tardive dyskinesia. So, but I'm too old to be Iron Man at this point, I mean. So, oh man. So, but they have reinvented one. It's called Combenfy or something, however you pronounce it. Combenfy, I believe. And the nurse practitioner and I said we both heard of it, but we hadn't seen very much about it. Just that one had been invented in the fourth generation, totally different. It works on acetylcholine in the brain instead of serotonin and dopamine, brain chemistry alterations to return one to sanity, restore sanity. So it was 30 years ago, a few weeks ago, I was restored to sanity, and so that's nice. But I'm alone here, and I don't like that. But I'm too weird, I guess, for people to put up with. I don't have enough social skills to make it in the real world. So, but the book, yeah. I'll try to put a link this time. But where do you find it? If I can't find that first for a project for the night. But So I got the pain medicine, and then it's tolerable. Then, and I'm not in any extreme pain. I was describing early previously in these videos, recently or here or not, and so it's just going to take that, and I'll have to go an hour and a half away to get there to the place, and the ride can terrorize me on the way out. The last time to the place where I was next door where I saw them and then walked in and inquired and became referred there. And but it's not nice to be in a lot of extreme pain. I can tell a story about my friend who I used to go to the laundromat with before I got diagnosed with scoliosis. And this explains why it's tardive, because it doesn't match the profile, because I didn't have it as a kid. But I used to go to the laundromat with a friend, and I would be, before I was diagnosed, and I was in searing pain it was, in the laundromat, bending over the cart to fold my clothes and put them on a shelf or table, And so it was immense. And so the doctor I had at the time for 20 years said, just take some ibuprofen and you'll be fine. So it wasn't diagnosed until 6 years ago, and I'd had it for like 20 years at this point, working on my back. So I'm not real happy about the fact. This is what I wanted to mention too. Up to this point, I've talked to 2 different law firms, personal injury law firms, and the first one thanked me for the information and said they're not working on cases like this right now. But they encouraged me to look onward, though, with legal firms, personal injury firms. So a month later, earlier this week, I talked to a local firm I remember from TV, which I haven't watched in 24 or 5 years, but and I don't miss it at all. You can shove it. It has its benefits, but I watch YouTube. That's where I will get video feeds. But where the hell was I stuck again? So the really good new news, I mean, is if you've been following. And if not, my video channel is at drpod2 on YouTube search engine. At drpod2 at drpod2 numeral 2 on the end. No dots in that. Find my other videos, but the point I was making was about the second law firm I consulted. They ushered me up to the 3rd tier of person to talk to, and was back having me on hold 3 different times, and talking to the attorney themselves, and coming back to me more questions from the attorney, and then they said they got all the information they needed. So then they came back the last time, and the attorney will call me. So the next day, the attorney called me later in the day after I was up on. And she said that she looked into all that, researched that, and it does exist, and she's empathetic that I've been damaged that way. But she said the unfortunate thing about a case like that, though, is that the threshold you have to meet and exceed in order to prove that that's what happened is too great in a case like this to say that definitely, concretely, A plus B equals C in the equation here. You know what I'm saying? If you have a logical mind, educated mind, algebra. Anyways, that was the end of this video then. That was really new news. You can't sue these people for this. And that's been due to health knew, the American Psychiatric Association knew, and the FDA knew, Food and Drug Administration knew. So, but they didn't tell the doctors to write these drugs to gauge people for these kind of disorders. For the abnormal movements, truncal movements, and the way I bounce around in my chair here usually and read around so it's all true. Danger. The first few early drugs, antipsychotics, are the worst, but they're not supposed to be used them anymore. But people are responsible about their use, so that's good. But and if you ask them if it's going to cause, if you've got a diagnosis, is it going to cause tardive movement disorders? Is it going to cause hair loss? That's where my hair went from the Abilify too, aripiprazole, extreme hair loss. So that pisses me off. But my life has been ruined by antipsychotic medication. I've been made well, and I'm maintained well on it cognitively now by myself in my environment here. But I don't fit well in the real world. So that's just the way you'll find me. Until next time,
have a nice time, a nice holiday season, everyone.